Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. I am Charles, 9H-1FBS, who is going to be the operating station for this net tonight. Before we start, do we have any emergency traffic? I was asked to pass on to you all, and I will do it at the end of the net as well, that this is the last net for the present time. We're going to meet again on the 2nd of September. Ferragosto. Everybody would like to take a break during the month of August. Stand by. The net meets every 2 weeks on Thursday at 8:00 Central European Time. And we discuss various things about the radio clubs in Malta and Gozo. And this is a directed net, so all traffic should go through net control. Special thanks to 9H1 Sugar Fox and 9H5 FA, Stephen and Tony, for making this net possible. Also, we would like to thank Marco, Nine Hotel 5 Sierra November, and Mark, 9H1GP, for the use of the UHF repeater. To Antoine, 9H1 Uniform Sierra, and Herbert, 9H1 Delta Hotel, for the use of the repeater, the DMR repeater, and also to 9H5YV, Yankee Victor Glenn, for allowing us to use the same branding for the Facebook page that he manages. So, I will start taking check-ins in a few minutes. Tonight we don't seem to have a presentation, so it's going to be check-ins, announcements, general discussion, which we hope to have, a lively one, and the Newsline ham radio news, which will be broadcast after the net is finished. So, with that, I will take a pause. I ask you all to leave 4 to 5 seconds between calls so that one could not have what is called train crashing. Ha ha ha. Anyway, so with that, I'll open the floor first to any mobile or portable station. Mobile or portable station. This is 9H1FBS, net control.
Nine Hotel 1 Echo Sierra. Hello, net controller, 9H1FBS. This is 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra. Good evening to everyone. My name is Fortunato. I am from Taali, doing some walking training. Yes, from Taali. We have a little bit wind, so we have slightly fresh air. So for you, again, net controller. 9 Hotel 1 FBS, net controller, 9 Hotel 1 Echo Santiago, over.
Roger Fortunato. Any more mobile or portable stations? 9H-1FBS standing by. So now we are going to take check-ins from the either DMR or the UHF repeater. DMR or UHF repeater. Call signs slowly and in phonetics, please.
9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. And the name is Anthony.
Nine Hotel 1 Sugar Fox. 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox. Operator is Stephen. Operator name is Stephen. Good evening, Net Controller.
Nine Hotel 1 Foxtrot Mike. Nine Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike, sorry. 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike.
Some feedback there, Francis. Any more check-ins from either the UHF or DMR? Nine H1 Fox Bravo Sierra, net control station for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Now we're going to open it from Echolink. Any check-ins from Echolink, please come in.
Golf 1, Uniform Fox November. Name here is Sam. Say good evening to you, Net Controller. Looking forward to the listening on the frequency. And good evening to all on frequency.
Net Control, this is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. I have a message from Jonathan Gallia, who is a shortwave listener and is usually with us on Jitsi. He is not with us today on Jitsi, but he will be listening from some other sites. And I'm just passing on the message because he gave me this information earlier on today.
Thank you. Let's see who we have so far. Myself, of course. I must put myself on the bottom, not on the top. 9H1 Echo Sierra, Fortunato. 9H5 Foxtrot Alpha, Anthony. 9H1 Sierra Foxtrot, Stephen. 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike, Francis. Golf 1 Uniform Foxtrot November, Sam. Do we have any more check-ins from anywhere? 9H1 FBS is standing by. Sorry about that. Any more check-ins for the net 9H1 FBS? My key was stuck. Sorry about that, guys. I think it's going to be a short net this evening. So let's go over to Fortunato, enjoying the nice breeze into Ali, and see what he has to say. I do remind you that the next net is going to be on the 2nd of September, and I hope we all have a nice summer. Well, a nice August anyway. Ali Fortunato, 9H1 Echo Sierra, 9H1 FBS.
FPS net controller 9H1, yes. Okay, I would like to announce, Charlie, I would like to announce that on the 7th of August, the Radio Club MAL is going to hold the RAE examination. The RAE examination on the 7th of August, and it is because of the distances, and of course at the mall we do not have space. It is going to be held at the University of Malta. There is a provider, he is going to provide us a room with air conditioner, and the exam is going to be there. I think there are eight or 9 students that they are going to make the exam. That is the announce which I would like to make, Charlie. So for you, Charlie, net controller, this is 9 Hotel 1 Echo Santiago. Over.
News, Fortunato, very good news. The more the merrier. 8 new, brand new radio amateurs on the island of Malta. Look forward to working them. Of course, I can't go on any other, either Echolink or DMR. I don't have anything else. So good luck to them, and I hope that everything goes smoothly, and that most of them, or all of them, I hope that all of them will pass. So I'll sign with you and go over to Anthony. 9H5FA, 9H1FBS. That's very good news, Anthony.
Nine H1FBS, 9H5FA. Okay, so I'm, as usual, sitting in front of a computer and controlling the YouTube stream at the moment of this net. I'd like to be walking around somewhere sort of in the outside, and actually I might do that later on this evening. The weather is fine for a perfect walk, and I need to reduce a couple of kilos and that will take several walks. Al is a nice place to go walking at this time. I usually sort of walk somewhere around the 50H where I stay, which is not very interesting because there are other roads. But for to give me an idea, actually, so getting the car and going to the Al and walking there and is an excellent idea. Okay, back to unit control. We don't seem to be a lot of people on the net today. Probably that's because summer has kicked in already, and well, people will be sort of having other activities. But in September, we'll after today we'll start up again on the 2nd September, as you said, and hopefully we'll sort of promote, carry out some promotion during August to get several more people on board. Back to unit control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
If you had a dog, I would tell you to go to the dog park at the alley. Once or twice I took my guide dog there, and there will be many people with dogs. So let's see if there are any more check-ins. Let's break for a moment and see if there are any more check-ins from anywhere for the 9H-HAM. By the way, I would like to also tell you that this net is being broadcast on the YouTube channel, 9H-HAM GlobalNet YouTube channel. 9H1FBS standing by for check-ins. So it's Stephen's turn. Nothing heard so far. So everybody must be at the seaside or doing the barbecue. 9H1 Sierra Fox, 9H1 FBS.
Okay, good evening, Charles. 9 Hotel 1 FBS. Once again, this is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox. Also on Jitsi, there's 9 Hotel 1 Mike Delta also with us there. And Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike and Anthony and myself are also on Jitsi there. Nothing much really to say. We've just been having the last 4 weeks pretty busy, running around backwards and forwards to the hospital, as we had one of our dear friends in 9 Hotel 5 Hotel Papa Philip. 9 Hotel 5 Hotel Papa Philip was in hospital again, suffering from dehydration and other complications, but he is finally out of hospital and back at his house, back in his home. So we had a busy 3 weeks preparing his flat, as we have removed his bath, the bath from the bathroom, and made him a walk-in shower. And thanks to Francis and another friend of ours, Hotel 5 Foxtrot, Mike and someone else, that gave a helping hand, and we've done the retiling of the bathroom, the wall, plumbing, and a new shower tray, walk-in shower for him, so it can be more accessible for him as he is in a wheelchair. And we also got 2 air-conditioned units installed. Got a company to come and install him 2 air-conditioned units, one in the family living area and one in his bedroom, so he can stay nice and cool now and not get dehydrated again. So yes, he's back at home now, which is also good for us, as we were, busy with the flat and traveling backwards and forwards to the hospital to see him. As first, obviously, he was in Mater Dei, and then he was in Karen Grek. So he had like a 2 weeks stint in Karen Grek there, but now he's finally back home. That's actually all I've got to say for now. So thank you once again, for you, Charles, for being the net controller again tonight, and I'll pass it over back to you. 9 Hotel 1 FPS. This is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox.
Yeah, maybe you could repeat the call sign and name of the person, of this gentleman. And we extend our warmest greetings, do extend our warmest greetings to him on behalf of all the people present here today. And it's nice, there's no place like home, they say, Stephen. So, what is the name of the person?
Okay, 9 Hotel 1 FBS, this is 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox returning again. The name was Philip, his name is Philip Hallard. His call sign is 9 Hotel 5 Hotel Papa. 9 Hotel 5 Hotel Papa. He's an Englishman. He obviously has got no family in Malta because his family is in the UK, and they haven't been back to Malta for the past 3 years. So he's got no family on the island, so it's just us, his radio friends, and his other friends that help him out, which is practically myself, Francis, and somebody else that done all the work for him in the flat there, and you know, getting things sorted, Charles, getting things sorted, going to the bathroom place, getting the stuff that we needed, you know, tiles and all that kind of stuff. So running around bits and pieces, but we've got it sorted now. He's back at home, he's happy. Of course, you know, exactly what you were saying, home is home. There's nowhere like home, so obviously him being by himself even more, the hospital there, so we went as many times as we could, but even Karen Greg, because of the situation of COVID, the opening times was from 3:30 till 5, which was a bit of a pain to get there in the afternoon because of the heat, Charles. But we still managed between us, you know, to go and see him there and you know, keep him company. But now he's back at home. He is 74 years old, Charles. So sometimes he comes and you know, on duty as well with us when we do this net on the Thursdays. But sometimes he doesn't come on there. So I'll pass the microphone back to you, Charles. 9 Hotel 1 FBS, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox.
That merits great news, you know. That's very, very good news, and maybe one of these days, maybe after August, he will be able to come and say hello to us on the net as well. As I said before, to extend our warmest greetings and felicitations to Philip, and we hope to see him on the net very, very soon. I'll take another pause for check-ins. This is 9H-1FBS with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. So it's all yours, Francis, 9 Hotel 5, Foxtrot. Mike, 9H-1FBS.
Okay. Charles, and everybody. Actually, I don't have nothing to say because what I was going to say, he said it already. We had a whole week hard work at our friend at Philip's house, and actually we are a bit tired too. So now we're finished. Too. Okay. Now he's getting better. At least he's at home, and he's happy what we've done. Okay, Mike, back to you, Charles. 9 Hotel 1 FBS, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike.
Okay, that's, as I said, that's great news. I mean, this is the real spirit of community. One would help another, and I congratulate you all for doing that. And I know that it will be much appreciated by Philip. So we come to the last station on the list here. My friend, all of you are my friends actually, but this guy we speak about 2 or 3 times a week. And I think he had a sunny day today in Manchester. Let's see what he has to say for himself. G1UFN with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. This is 9H1FBS.
(9H-1FBS) net controller, G1UFN, returning. Okay, Charlie. Well, not a lot to say here. The weather's been poorly on us. Yesterday we had very, very bad weather with rain, and also I was looking at the news this evening. It's flooded all round, and according to the news lady, she thinks that all this problems is global warming. So I don't know whatever next. Anyway, I'll put it back to you. I'm just listening round. Like I said, not much to say, but I'm listening round. Right, back to you, Charles. 9H1FBS, net controller, G1UFN, and good evening to all.
Okay, very, very good indeed. G1UFN, 9H1FBS, returning. So it was raining. So I think I was reading the wrong weather forecast, Sam, because mine said that it was sunny in Manchester. Maybe it was another Manchester, because I know a Manchester in the United States, and unfortunately we lost our stateside contact. He hasn't arrived yet, or maybe he forgot all about it. So, last call for check-ins, ladies and gentlemen. This is 9H1FBS with the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Well, I can open it to the floor if somebody else has any comments. This is 9H1FBS.
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, net controller. If he is still hearing us, I was going to ask Furtu 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra whether he has, what are his most recent ventures in vintage radio. He has been posting some new pictures on the Facebook page, on the 9H-HAM Facebook page, of some devices which he seems to be refurbishing or repairing or renewing or fixing. I'm not sure exactly. I was going to ask him whether he could update us on some of his recent interesting ventures. Back to you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Okay. Well, let's ask him if he's in a position to tell us at least a few juicy tidbits. If not, maybe we could get together and invite him for the next one, so he could give us another presentation. Fortunato, would you like to say something about your new acquisitions? I don't think he's there anymore. Let's give him another call. 9H-1 Echo Sierra, 9H-1 at VS. Do you copy? I think so. Anyway, so gentlemen, with this we end the net for today. I would remind you that the next one is going to be on the first Thursday of September. I tried to I got in contact on DMR with 9H-1 Uniform Golf and asked him if he would like to attend. Maybe it will be another time. So it's going to be the 2nd of September at 8 o'clock local time, or Central European time. I would like to thank again the trustees of the repeaters, DMR and UHF, and also Stephen and Anthony. Sometimes I'll call you Tony. I don't think that's right. If you like Anthony, I'll call you Anthony. So anyway, I would like to thank all of you and remind you that Newsline is going to be on the YouTube channel directly after the net is over. With that, I wish you all a good August and hope to meet you again very, very soon, because only a month away, on the 2nd of September. This is 9H-1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra Net Control for the 9H-HAM Global Net, now closing the net. Thank you very much. Good evening to everybody.
Company's announcement on social media set off a wave of speculation about the new location, especially on Instagram, where the company wrote, "We're not telling yet. We're open to suggestions." The closest ham radio outlet to Florida is in Atlanta, Georgia. The company, which calls itself the world's largest
From Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2281, this is Ham Nation Headlines for Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. Our top stories are in the world of amateur radio business. Some good news and some sad.
Ham Radio Outlet, the nationwide amateur radio retailer in the U.S., has announced that its ongoing expansion plans will include a store in the state of Florida. The new store will join 12 already open in such states as California in the west, where the company is based, to Delaware in the east, Arizona and Texas in the south, and New Hampshire in the north. The company's announcement on social media set off a wave of speculation about the new location, especially on Instagram, where the company wrote, "We're not telling yet. We're open to suggestions." The closest ham radio outlet to Florida is in Atlanta, Georgia. The company, which calls itself the world's largest supplier of amateur radio equipment, is also known for shipping internationally. In other business news, the Dayton Daily News reports that Sandy Mendelson, founder of the legendary Ohio electronics retail store Mendelson's Liquidation Outlet, died on July 3rd at age 77. The downtown Dayton location, which was for decades a magnet for local and visiting hams, especially during Hamvention, closed its doors in late 2019. Its 8-story building was sold to a Columbus, Ohio developer.
Newsline anchor Jim Dameron, N8TMW reporting. Imagine powering your own portable station simply by using your body instead of a battery. Research in Israel makes that sound more real than you may think.
Researchers call it piezoelectricity, and it's been around for a while. The accumulation of electrical charges from solid materials is actually not a new concept, at least in the lab. Now, researchers at Tel Aviv University believe this nanotechnology will one day be able to power medical devices, such as pacemakers, by transforming the body's mechanical movements into electricity. Now, that's because they've discovered a way to do this using materials that are non-toxic, making them safe for implantation into the body. The research was published recently in the journal Nature Communications. Now the time has come for this to be tried out on humans. The lead researcher, Professor Awood Gazet, said the practical applications extend beyond medicine. He said the device could also power streetlights simply by being placed on the road to capture energy from tyre movement. We hams, of course, will be watching and waiting for results of this new development in green energy. For those of us who operate portable or mobile, it certainly puts all kinds of possibilities for power in motion. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
In Europe, it's all about amplitude modulation for some amateurs. There's an upcoming event celebrating this respected mode.
The Amplitude Modulation Amateur Radio Society is a newly formed group, but the mode it celebrates has been around for quite some time. It's the original voice mode on the amateur radio bands. The Society is joining with AM Amateur Radio Europe to host the summer AM QSO party, which is happening from the 16th to the 18th of July. The AM QSO party organisers said on their website that although this is not a contest, there will be certificates awarded for points earned. The main purpose of the event is to encourage QSOs and conversation. Hams are expected to be operating on the AM portions of 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, 12 and 10 metres. A hopeful sentiment on the website adds, quote, fingers crossed that propagation allows us to use the higher bands for longer distance QSOs around Europe and even further afield, end of quote. Details can be found on Facebook by searching for AM Amateur Radio Europe. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news for 4 decades and counting at arnewsline.org. With Jim Dameron, N8TMW, Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe. I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW 73. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation.
Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2282 with a release date of Friday, July 23rd, 2021, to follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. Ham radio at the ready in flooded parts of Europe. Radio responds to Cuba's humanitarian crisis, and the FCC okays an experimental station on 40 megahertz. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline Report number 2282 comes your way right now.
From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's independent, on-the-air news and bulletin service. And now reporting from Valparaiso, Indiana, here's Paul Brown, WD9GCO.
Our top story takes us to Europe, where nations in the western part of the continent have suffered disastrous flooding. As Newsline went to production, amateur radio operators were on alert and awaiting word on possible deployment. Ed Durant, DD5LP, tells us more.
As record rainfall and some of the worst flooding in decades devastated an area in the west of Europe, amateur radio operators stood by to help as the death toll rose and the search continued for those missing. Germany took the worst hit. Belgium, Luxembourg and the Netherlands suffered, with Belgium holding a national day of mourning on July 21st. In part of Belgium where water submerged an antenna vital for crisis communication, hams stepped up to volunteer in 3 provinces. Meanwhile, as the European Civil Protection Mechanism was activated, the Dutch Amateur Radio Emergency Service, the Belgian Amateur Radio Emergency Service and the Emergency Communications Unit of the DARC awaited word as to whether additional communications help would be needed. Greg Mossop, G0DUB, Emergency Communications Coordinator in IARU Region 1, told Newsline in a recent email that Germany's deployment of soldiers to assist in relief efforts bolstered the Technische Hilfswerk, the nation's civil protection organisation, which had thousands of volunteers working to remedy the physical damage. Greg told Newsline that the situation continued to evolve as bursting rivers damaged power and telecommunications networks along with bridges. An update on the IARU Region 1 website said, quote, "This emergency will last for some time as infrastructure is repaired and the threat from damaged dams and more rainfall is reduced," end quote. Meanwhile, in Germany's southeast, water flowing down from the Alps stirred mudslides and overflowing rivers, causing yet another disaster area. Casualties were reported to be less than those affected in the northwest. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Ed Durant, DD5LP.
In India, amateurs are helping train additional volunteers to respond to their region's disasters. John Williams, VK4JJW, brings us up to date.
A new educational partnership has been formed between civil defence officials in coastal West Bengal, India, and amateurs in the West Bengal Radio Club. Hoping to improve communications and emergency response following intense cyclones and other disasters in remote regions, officials have asked for training from the Indian Academy of Communication, the HAM Club's educational wing. Going online with the Google Meet platform, HAMS will train a total of more than 90 civil defence volunteers. Pasupati Mondal, VU30DQ, will lead the instruction under the guidance of the Academy's Secretary, Rinku Nagbiswas, VU2JFB. Officials decided that ham radio training is essential for civil defence volunteers after previous efforts by the West Bengal Club proved invaluable in earlier disasters. West Bengal Club Secretary Ambarish Nagbiswas, VU2JFA, said eventually there'll be more than 90 students. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm John Williams, VK4JJW.
The ongoing humanitarian crisis in Cuba is gaining a worldwide voice for the remainder of July through special event station W4C. Don Wilbanks, AE5DW, has that story.
Radio operators from around the U.S. have been on the air as W4C since July 19th and will continue through to the end of the month, calling QRZ and carrying word of the economic and medical challenges in Cuba. The special event, SOS Cuba, has been organized by Florida ham Alexander Valladares, W7HU, who was formerly a citizen of Cuba. Alex's YouTube channel, W7HU Alex, will be live streaming as he operates Whiskey for Cuba. Hams have been reporting difficulty making contact on the air with amateurs in Cuba, indicating widespread jamming. This special event will carry a message of support for those struggling on the island. Alex writes on the station's QRZ page, quote, "Instead of taking to the streets, we realize that our efforts will be more efficiently utilized by getting on the air and making a special event out of it," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Don Wilbanks, AE5DW.
Meanwhile, the FCC has reportedly begun an investigation into the jamming of radio signals on a number of frequencies on the 40-meter band, based on complaints from amateurs who say they have been unable to communicate with radio operators in Cuba. Motherboard and other media outlets are reporting that FCC field agents are becoming involved, as is the U.S. State Department. The investigation is looking into a possible connection between the jamming and the Cuban government in Havana. A long-running battle over an amateur radio tower has ended with a positive outcome for one ham in the U.S. Kent Peterson, KC0DGY, tells us why this Massachusetts ham is so happy.
The on-again, off-again amateur radio tower project outside the Massachusetts home of Mikhail Filippov, KD1MF, is on again. A judge in the city of Framingham has ruled that the local zoning officials were wrong last year when they revoked the project's building permit. The zoning board said at the time the tower did not comply with zoning requirements and could not go forward. But on July 14th, the judge said the ham radio towers are among those structures exempt from such requirements, provided the project has a building permit. As Newsline reported more than a year and a half ago, Mikhail and his wife, Galina, had received the city permit for building the 80-foot structure despite neighbors' challenges that it would damage their property values and become an eyesore. Mikhail had already poured the tower's foundation, but agreed to halt the project until the zoning dispute could be resolved. That appears to have happened. Writing on the webpage of the ARRL's Eastern Massachusetts section, Mikhail's attorney, Fred Hopengarten, K1VR, declared, quote, "Mr. Filippov is one very happy radio amateur," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kent Peterson, KC0DGY.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the pond, an amateur in England is at odds with local officials over a retractable antenna mast, something he had installed 6 years ago.
Wiltshire Council rejected the application of Tidworth amateur Bob Coleman, G0WYD, calling his plans for the structure in his back garden unneighbourly and incompatible with the area. Bob told the Andover Advertiser newspaper, quote, "Due to various spinal surgeries, I am unable to play the sports I used to love. Radio communication is one of the few hobbies I can do, and it plays a large part in keeping me mentally healthy, especially over the last year," end quote. Neighbours had filed complaints about the mast as far back as 2019, leading the council planning officials to inform Bob that he needed permission. According to the newspaper, he applied, but the forms were reportedly not valid, and so he reapplied. The newspaper story noted that neighbours understand his love of amateur radio, but report that the antenna reaches from his property into theirs, and they worry about a storm knocking it over. Bob has the option to appeal against the decision. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
The FCC has given the go-ahead to an amateur in Georgia who is operating an experimental station on 40 megahertz. Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, brings us those details.
For the next 2 years, anyone tuning to the frequency 40.662 megahertz is likely to hear a 2-minute weak signal propagation reporter transmission coming from an omnidirectional antenna in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States. Experimental station WL2XUP went on the air in mid-July under an experimental license granted through July 1st, 2023 by the FCC. Gregory Holcomb, NI4Y, who was assigned the new call sign, will be conducting tests on the band, and his 2-minute transmissions occur every 10 minutes. He is permitted a maximum output of 400 watts effective radiated power. Details about the station were reported in the EI7GL blog, where the author, John, wrote, quote, "The really big challenge now is trying to raise awareness amongst the amateur radio community in North America and making them aware of the 40 megahertz band and the activity on it," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world, including the W4EDP and N4LMC repeaters in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Fridays at 7:30 p.m. local time. The commercial TV industry has retired the last of its transmitters employing the original system used for black and white and early color TV. Jack Parker, W8ISH, gives us the details.
Those of us who love our straight keys, our boat anchors, our tube radios, and other parts of early ham radio have it easy. We can still use the technology from which our roots have sprung. Television, however, recently hit a milestone in the United States where the industry retired the last few remaining commercial transmitters that used the system developed by the National Television Standards Committee. The NTSC system, which first defined black and white transmissions and later color, generated pictures comprising 525 lines displayed at nearly 30 frames per second. This produced the familiar analog TV broadcast that delivered programming to American audiences for more than 70 years. Now, in an age of digital and HD TV, NTSC screens have gone dark. The Hackaday blog, which reported the development in its July 14th post, wrote, quote, "We have to admit being sorry to see the passing of analog TV. It was an intricate and fascinating system that provided a test bed for plenty of experimentation back in the day. Perhaps as we see it slip over the horizon, it's worth pondering whether its digital replacement will also become an anachronism in an age of on-demand streaming TV." End quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, this is Jack Parker, W8ISH, signing off.
The ARRL's headquarters is back in business. Cell MB KB3TZD gives us the details on the ceremonial reopening of the doors.
The doors are open again at Newington, Connecticut, home to the American Radio Relay League. The ARRL hosted a rededication ceremony there on July 15th to coincide with the return to business as usual as pandemic restrictions have eased. Members of the ARRL's board of directors were in town from around the country to attend board and committee meetings and were present at the ceremony. The league shut its building at the closure of the day on March 23, 2020, in response to the governor's executive order for businesses. It was just days after the World Health Organization declared COVID-19 to be a global pandemic. Many ARRL staffers worked remotely instead. Other services, such as the W1AW Bulletin and the Code Practice transmissions, continued. ARRL CEO David Minster, NA2AA, said he was pleased to see the league's services and staffing bounce back. He said, quote, "This speaks to the resilience and dedication of our staff, board members, and volunteers," end quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Cell MB, KB3TZD.
In the world of DX, the Willis Island D-Expedition planned for November has been canceled. D-Expedition leader Tommy Horizakis, VK2IR, said the activation cannot go forward following the spread of COVID-19 to 4 Australian states and a set of new rules from the Coral Island Management Authority banning the installation of any structures on the islands. The D-Expedition would have coincided with 100 years of the weather observation station being on Willis Island. Bo OZ1DJJ will be active from Tasiak Island as OX3LX from July 28th through August 13th. Bo will be on HF, but his main bands will be 6 meters and 4 meters. Send QSLs via OZ0J. Look for Uris, YL2GM, and Zedonis, YL2GN, to be on the air from the Estonian island of Hiiumaa during the RSGB IOTA contest. Be listening July 23rd through the 25th. QSL via their home call signs. Phil, M7CBK, is using the call sign ZC4CBK while operating at the Akrotiri British Sovereign Base area in Cyprus. Be listening to him through October. He'll be operating on FT4 and FT8 on 20 meters. According to his QRZ page, he will also be on 2 meters in the hopes of using the FM and D-Star repeaters in the Troodos Mountains. Send QSLs to EB7DX. Laurent, HB9HKE, is active from Iceland as TF/HB9HKE through August 7th. Be listening on the HF bands, QSL via Logbook of the World, but also on QRZ and EQSL. For all of our amateur radio experiences, we've all had our high points. For our final story this week, we visit a high point that's at an elevation of 11,724 feet. Mike Askins, KE5CXP, takes us there.
The Colorado site is called Sargent's Mesa, and on July 17th, it became the scene of many firsts. It was the first time SOTA activation for 12 members of the San Luis Valley Amateur Radio Association, K0SLV, and the first time activation of the summit, which carries the code W0C/LG-027. Like the summit, the Hams' hopes were high as they started out under blue skies. Club President Bob Gailey, NO1PB, told Newsline that the location is a place that feels like hallowed ground, a fact that further elevated the purpose of their visit. A polished granite monument there called Soldier Stone honors the soldiers and civilians from Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, and elsewhere who fought alongside American GIs during the Vietnam War. Bob, a military veteran himself and now a pastor, made sure the activators shared a formal moment of respect and prayer before hiking a mile or so to the activation zone, where a total of 8 operators got busy calling QRZ. According to the SOTA database, the activation ended successfully with 61 contacts. The activation was a high point, capping a day of firsts for this club, which is less than 2 years old. It held added meaning, too, for hams such as Rick, KF0DCY, who had recently become licensed. Bob said a special QSL card will mark the occasion with a group picture taken in front of the monument, a shining symbol of valor tucked away quietly in a national forest high in the Rocky Mountains. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Mike Askins, KE5CXP.
With thanks to the Andover Advertiser, Amateur News Weekly, the ARRL, the BBC, Bob Gailey, NO1PB, CQ Magazine, David Behar, K7DB, DXWorld.net, the EI7GL blog, the Framingham Source, Greg Mossop, G0DUB, Hackaday, IARU Region 1, QRZ.com, the Radio Society of Great Britain, Southgate Amateur Radio News, Summits on the Air, SOTA Atlas, shortwaveradio.de, Ted Randall's QSL Radio Show, WTWW Shortwave, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. You can write to us at newsline@arnewsline.org. For more information or to support us, visit our official website at arnewsline.org. Be sure to follow some of these stories as they get a more in-depth look on the YouTube channel of 100 Watts in a Wire. Search for the video segment with the title, 2 Stories. For now, with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Paul Brown, WD9GCO in Valparaiso, Indiana, saying 73. As always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2021. All rights reserved.